While it's a common occurrence for networks and live services to go offline for a few hours for maintenance, it's usually only for a few hours, usually in the middle of the night and with plenty of forewarning so those that will be affected have plenty of time to plan for the outage. However, this wasn't always the case, especially on April 20th, 2011, a day not only looked at on as a day being up in the clouds, but a day of one of the biggest gaming online infrastructures fell to its knees. What is going on, followers? It is your boy TKD, aka Kevin, and here we're going to break down the great PSN outage of 2011. Reasons on why this outage occurred stretch over a year before to the infamous day that the PSN skies grew black. In March of 2010, PlayStation had out a version 3.21 of the PS3's firmware, removing the quote install other OS feature of the PS3. This move was inevitable with the slim PS3 releasing a few months prior that did not have the feature at all. It may be odd for a console manufacturer to allow an entirely different OS to be installed on the system, but it made sense with the laws in place at that time. In Europe, you can get extreme tax breaks if you categorize your game console as a computer rather than its intended use as a game console. By the official European definition, a unit had to be quote user programmable and thus allowing users to install other operating systems with Linux, enable the PS3 to receive a generous tax break in Europe. However, after that, laws changed and that combated PlayStation's tactics to save a buck or two with tax breaks in the EU and a growing threat of hacking on the console with users being able to run emulators and illegally access games on the PS3 birthed version 3.21 into existence. This angered the small sect of fat PS3 users that were utilizing Linux on the console, and they were even left with little to no option of opting out of installing the new version since Sony revoked access to PSN and playback of games and Blu-ray movies that requires the new software. From the perspective of PlayStation, they ended the threat of users pirating games with the removal of install other OS. However, this was far from the end. Only 2 days into the new year of 2011, George Hotz, the infamous iPhone jailbreaker, jailbroke the PlayStation 3 regardless of version 3.21 being released. He actually jailbroke it on version 3.55 and released detailed instructions online and onto his YouTube channel. With the removal of the PlayStation 3's install other OS feature, the unit was meant to be unhackable, but from the words of Hotz himself, quote, nothing is unhackable. He went on to tell BBC, I can now do whatever I want with the system. It's like I've got an awesome new power, I'm just not sure how to wield it. It was an incredible feat, and those utilizing Linux on PS3 were bowing down to him for his work. Everyone except the good folks at PlayStation. On January 11, 2011, PlayStation officially sued Hotz for, quote, distributing jailbreaking software to the public and promoting piracy by allowing illegal copies of PS3 games to be played on jailbroken systems. Among those in Hotz's corner was hacker group Anonymous, who led the charge against PlayStation for even having him in court in the first place. The group started Operation Sony, a movement to DDoS attack a variety of websites that they own and services that they employ every day, essentially overloading systems with data packets to cause a system crash. The operation's goal was only solely to persuade them to stop suing Hotz. However, on April 11, 2011, PlayStation and Hotz reached a settlement regarding the lawsuit. While the details were very scarce, Hotz agreed to remove all instructions and information pertaining to the PS3 jailbreak he created. With the jailbreak video being removed, Anonymous strikes back with their video of their own. The video called viewers to protest products owned by Sony and also gave a warning of the upcoming major attack. This attack finally came on April 16th. Throughout the next 2 days, hackers infiltrated the PlayStation Network and online entertainment services, doing damage unheard of during that time period. 77 million PSN accounts were compromised, including street addresses, names, and other account info. Over 25 million online entertainment accounts were also affected, along with nearly 24,000 European credit and debit card numbers were stolen. The attack went undetected until April 19th, with PlayStation launching their own private investigation. While doing that, they also failed to disclose to the public that massive amounts of personal data had been stolen, which brings us to 420 Blaze It, when they shut down the network for, quote, technical issues and not a hack. Throughout the following days, with gamers' attention being redirected from their PS3s, Anonymous denied being responsible for the attack after many pointed the blame into their favor. It wouldn't be for nearly a week after the shutdown when they finally admitted the PSN and other services had been hacked rather than a normal technical issue. After their investigation proved the attack was bigger than what they could feasibly true, they called in the FBI for assistance. By May 1st, executives apologized for the network's outage and downtime, while the US US government also got involved with pressing them on exactly what went wrong. Chairman Kaz Harai, complete side note, his parody account was shutting down by the next E3 and it's really sad. Detailed to Congress that a file was found in the network named Anonymous with their motto, quote, "We are Legion," attached. While they didn't upfront blame the hacker group, they did allude to their previously released tech making it easier for the hacker group to swoop in and hack the PSN. And days later, Anonymous reaffirmed their statement that they are not responsible for the PSN outage, claiming that they are only after large corporations, not the little guy. Talking on a personal standpoint, I remember having conversations analogous to a plague when talking to my friends about the outage. My weekend nights no longer consisted of playing online, but rather playing through single player campaigns of my favorite games, visualizing NPCs as online opponents. Young TKD even went as far as calling PlayStation multiple times on getting personal updates on when the network would be online again. After 15 days of the outage on May 5th, they stated that they are on their final stretches of testing the network and its new security measures and will reinstate the PSN, quote, in the coming days. The statement came to fruition on May 15, 2011 when the PSN returned online through a rollout system worldwide. They even had a live map of the regions as they turned the network online so users could see exactly when they would have their access to their beloved PSN service. It was glorious watching my region light up as online on the PSN status map that night, and the outage was officially over. Good things and bad things have came from this outage. For one, they announced the Welcome Back program, enabling those affected by the outage, nearly everyone, to receive a few free PS3 and PSP games. While a kind gesture, the outage also ruined many gamers' trust in Sony with their personal information. This made a massive amount of users remove their credit card information from their account entirely and move strictly to buying PSN cards for PS Store purchases. The outage also reportedly cost Sony $171 million in damages, and some even point to the demise of Zipper Interactive being another side effect, with them releasing SOCOM 4 a literal day before the outage, prompting the game to nearly be unplayable and useless at launch due to its reliance on the PSN for multiplayer. PSN users were also granted a year of quote all clear ID plus identity theft protection for those affected. You had just over a month to opt in to 1 year of the service, and it gave users 1 year of monitoring and surveillance to detect the user's info was being maliciously used, priority access to licensed private investigators and identity restoration specialists, and a $1 million identity theft insurance policy per user. While all these effects were clear, much more came from the outage as well. It finally called on them to create a stable and consistent network as opposed to the ragtag PSN that it was prior to the attack. The network was constantly down for a multitude of reasons, and the network features and reliability lacked in comparison to the superior Xbox Live. Nonetheless, many users had to put up with the state of PSN simply because it offered online multiplayer free of charge. After the attack and the launch of the PS4 2 years after, they made it so that you need to pay for PS Plus yearly or monthly to get access to the PSN. A lot of people, including myself, point to this attack as the main reason why we not pay for the PSN. It is no longer this ragtag free of charge service that is kind of expected to fail the majority of the time. It is now a premium service, and hopefully PlayStation has been funneling that money back into the network to create a better and more secure network from then on. And honestly, the PSN is in a much better place performance wise than it was 7 years ago. The attack let a fire under Sony's ass to invest in the network, the PlayStation network we all utilize today. While the network is not perfect, name changes, we all have a better network because of this attack, and the PSN has never been in a more healthier state than it is right now. And that was the complete timeline of the great PSN outage of 2011. Let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about the PSN outage? Were you there to witness it? Were you around during that time? Let me know all of your stories about the PSN outage down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, make sure to like the video, subscribe, all that good stuff, and make sure, as always, to keep on following.